When a lot of people think about poetry, they think it can only be about deer and flowers and the clouds, right? They think it's inaccessible. It's not about the experiences we have every day. And so this professor goes on and on about deer, because grad school classes are long. And he goes one step further. He says, I want everybody in the room to write an animal ode, right? And an ode is a praise poem. It's a poem that elevates an ordinary thing to a different height. So he goes to one class and he's like, what would you write about? And my classmate is like, well, like Elizabeth Bishop, I would write about the blackbird. 13 Ways How to See a Blackbird is a very famous poem. This person was not being original, right? I'm like, okay, you're a biter. He goes to another classmate. My classmate's like, I would write about sea anemones. And I'm Googling on the table like, what the is a sea anemone, right? Like, why would you write about that? Too original. And then my professor gets to me. And the one piece of writing advice you always get is write what you know. And I told y'all where I'm from. Y'all here in New York. You know what creatures we got around. And so I'm hype. I'm like, this is a good answer. I'm like, I would write about rats. And I feel good, right? Like, you know, Family Feud, good answer, good answer, good answer. I was waiting for like my applause. And in this space that I often felt that I should not speak up, this professor laughed at me. And he said, rats are not noble enough creatures for a poem. I think you need more experiences, Liz. And this was not a man who was like inherently insidious. This is not a man who had done me wrong in any other capacity. This was someone who we would call a good man and a fine poet. But in that moment, this was a man who told me my story was not worthy of being on the page. Because it's not just about the rat, right? It's about that the different symbols we have in our lives that we never see in books, we are then told not only can we not see them, we also cannot write them. We are erased even from our own narrative. And so I wrote this poem. It's my official clapback to that professor. It's called Rat Ode. And it serves as a reminder for any of us who have ever been told our story is too small or too ugly or too different for high art, that we are all of us deserving of poetry. So this is for the rats in the room. Because you are not the admired nightingale. Because you are not the noble doe. Because you are not the picturesque ermine, armadillo, or bat. They have been written and I don't know their song the way I know you're scuttling between walls. The scent of your collapsed corpse rotting beneath floorboards. Your frantic squeal as you pull at your own fur from glue traps, ripping flesh from skin in an attempt to survive. Because in July of '97, you birthed a legion on 109th, swarmed from behind the dumpsters, made our streets infamous for something other than crack. Shit, we nicknamed you Cat Killer. Raced with you through open hydrants, squeaked like you when Siete blasted aluminum bat into your brethren's skull. The sound slapped down dominoes. You reigned that summer rat, and even when they sent exterminators, half dead and on fire, you pushed on. Because even though you are an inelegant, simple, mammal bottom feeder, always freaking famished little ugly thing who feasts on what crumbs fall from the corners of our mouths, you live uncuddled, uncoddled, can't be bought at Petco and fed to fat snakes because you are not the maze rat of labs. Pale, pretty-eyed, trained, you raise yourself, sharp fang, clawed, scarred, patched dark because of this. He should love you. But look at the beast, the poet tells me. The table is already full, and rat, you are not a right-worthy thing. Every time they say that, take your gutter, your dirt coat, filth this page, rat. Scrape your underbelly against street concrete. You better squeak and raise the whole world, rat. Let loose a plague of words, rat, and remind them that you, that I, we are worthy of every poem. Here,